Fireworks show still going on. Home of the Rams, home of the Angels. Spectacular shot from the Goodyear blimp.
They ought to get combat pay tonight.
And the crowd appreciative. Nice view from above.
I have to admit, it's the first time I've ever seen fireworks set to Christmas music. Though.
Yeah.
Southern California.
Santa Claus on water skis. They got it all out here.
So we get set to start the second half as the 49ers try to go to 13-1. They lead by 9. Mike Cofer puts it in the air. And it's fielded, or sort of in the air, fielded on a hop at the 16-yard line. And the kick is run back out to the 30-yard line by Pat Carter as we take a look at the stats through the first half of play, and the Niners control the ball 2/3 of the time.
Really, there wasn't an effective movement of the football by the Rams until their last possession of the first half, where they cut this score to 16-7. A pretty good job of domination by the 49ers up to that point.
Interestingly enough, 3 weeks ago, it was the other way around. The Rams controlling the football up at Candlestick, and they won 28-17, brother. 28-17.
First and 10 from the 31-yard line. Everett fires it out to Anderson, who had circled back, almost cost himself the first down, but then regains it, picks up 13. And the Rams have a first and 10 up at the 44-yard line.
Where it's a throw like this that really separates the big boys from just the average guys who can throw a football. The deep sideline out pattern. This ball from Jim Everett is right there. Even at this level, not every quarterback in this league is capable of throwing the ball like that. As a matter of fact, the majority aren't capable of delivering the football the way this guy can. One of the top 5 arms in the NFL.
Fumble. Millen was right there.
I think Haley got it, didn't he? Or was that Millen that got it?
Matt Millen recovers the fumble for the 49ers.
Well, the fumble problem for the Rams has been on the part of their running back, Cleveland Gary, that time coming away from the center. Jim Everett loses it. The 49ers with a golden opportunity here early, just pulls away from the center without it.
Remember, the key play in the game a year ago here on Monday night was a fumble between Jim Everett and his center, Doug Smith, down on the goal line. The Rams had that game won, and there was a miscommunication between those two guys, a fumbled snap, and we see it here again tonight.
First and 10 from the 43. Here's Rathman, who spins out of initial trouble and then gets stopped at the 45 for a loss of about 3. Hellman on the hit. Second and 13. And again, the Rams discuss it. Same as last year. They get to talk about deja vu here.
Doug Smith, a perennial Pro Bowl player, one of the fine centers in the game. I mean, that's discouraging between two guys that have passed the ball between them as many times as these two have.
Second and 13. Craig goes in.
Whoa! Whoa. Big Dougie.
And Reed also takes a head slap from Sapolu as well, who didn't appreciate it.
Hard to believe that Doug Reed didn't react to something, some kind of movement on the part of the offensive line.
Now, why does it have to be an offensive lineman's fault?
Just the way he reacted.
Sapolo checking the replay. And so will we.
Second down.
Against the Rams.
Number 93. He just got no movement in front of him yet he ripped Joe Montana.
And there's Jesse Sapolo sticking up for his quarterback. He's taking the stance that, hey, you went offside. You really had no reason to throw my quarterback to the ground.
I think that was kind of a token head slap, don't you think? We're going to start nothing big out here.
Well, he certainly didn't want to get a penalty.
No head slap from a guy 6'4", 260 is token. From the 40. Rathman seeks the first down, has it by staying in bounds. You hear the contact, and then a trio of Rams take him out and give him a little verbal grief as well.
Oh, Jerry Gray take the brunt of the blow from Rathman. He wasn't even thinking about going out of bounds. He just barreled right through Jerry Gray. You know, the sounds down there are amazing. Let's watch this and also hear the collision.
Where'd that little sound come from?
Rothman coming to an abrupt stop.
from the 27-yard line. He needs a break job. Flags come in. Henley and Taylor were the two principals.
Henley can't hide tonight. They found him on almost every pattern. The 5'9", 172-pounder. That time he mistimed his drive for the ball and draws the flag. And more importantly, Joe Montana's finding him.
Pass interference. Number 20. First down.
We have seen more interference penalties in tonight's game than I've seen in a long time. That's at least 4, maybe 5 to this point. We're barely underway here in the second half. Of course, great receivers will bring that kind of coverage, and you see the contact well in advance of the arrival of the ball.
First and 10 at the 13. Rams rush 4. Montana on a roll after pump fake throws. Flag down, touchdown Rice, pending the flag. And Rice or Gray is clapping, so let's see if it's a push-off. It is.
Yep. Rice driving to the inside. Gray trying to cover him. He gave Gray a shove, and Gray, of course, couldn't get back into the coverage.
Pass interference. Number 80 offense. First down.
Top of your screen. Rice drive to the inside. Gives Gray a push before he can regain his balance. He's wide open. Montana fires it in there.
Well, you know, a defensive back isn't allowed to make contact more than 5 yards downfield. That was a very good look of contact that was initiated by the receiver. He ran right into Jerry Gray, pushed him out of the way, and then made his break back to the sideline. That's an excellent call by the official. That is offensive interference all the way. But something a big receiver like Jerry Rice has gotten away with more than once in his career.
First and 20 from the 23. Over the middle, dropped by Craig, who also gets hit by Wilcher after the play. It'll be second and 20 at the 23. There's 12:25 to go in the third quarter, and the Niners ahead 16-7.
Just having missed that conversion and having only 16 on the board, what the 49ers want to make certain of that they're going to be able to get 3 out of this. They like to get Cofer well within range.
Montana having some personnel problems as far as who was supposed to be in the huddle and who wasn't.
You don't see that very often with them either.
And you don't see anything like we saw the last play very often. Roger Craig wide open dropping a pass.
Second and 20 from the 23. They keep it on the ground, but nothing opens up through the middle. Mike Peel is right there to make the tackle.
As I said, you would expect something conservative to make certain that they get a good shot at the 3 down here, considering the 16-7 lead. As you would expect also to be something like an underneath pass to pick up 4, 5, 6 more yards to assure the field goal.
Craig lost 1. He's carried 8 times tonight for 8 yards, says Roger. And there are the 49ers on the ground. They are averaging less than any team in the league per rush. 3.5 coming into the game, and tonight 2.5. Third and 21. Montana dumps it for Rathman. He's tackled at the 14, and that'll bring Cofer in for about a 32-yard field goal attempt. Anthony Newman makes the tackle.
One of the little things that Montana does, again, they don't go in the play-by-play sheet either, but that time scrambling out of the pocket, moving around, staying alive, keeping a presence about him, finding Rathman, getting the 5 or 6 yards they needed to make the field goal that much easier for Cofer.
This one will be spotted just outside the 21. It'll be a 31-yard attempt. He's made one from 23 and missed one from 63. There's a flag down. The Rams appear to come through. The kick is good, and even if the Rams were offside, it's still considerably shy of the first down.
This will be a penalty, I'm sure, that San Francisco will decline.
Nope.
As you said, Al, it's not going to give them a first down.
Not even close,
No.
in fact.
4th and 11.
And the 49ers will take the 3.
We got offside. Number 70. The penalty is declined. Kickoff. Field goal is good.
Field goal good. 10:58 to go in
An impromptu call.
the third quarter.
One of those officials from New England.
Yep, they cash in on the fumble recovery, and the 49ers are now up by a dozen.
What are you about to break?
No, just kidding, I think. Mike Colford to kick off. 10:58 to go in the third. 19-7 San Francisco. Good deep kick and a touchback. Del Pino downs it in the end zone. John Robinson, we've talked about him tonight. He's been a remarkably successful coach. He's a great PR coach in a way. The question is, will he be back? He has a year left on his contract. This has been a terrible year, a very disappointing year for the Rams, who were expected to get, obviously, into the playoffs and maybe even to the Super Bowl. The Rams and their front office, and we mean by that Georgia Fronteri, the owner, the executive vice president, John Shaw, who in effect is the general manager, their feeling right now is they will evaluate the situation at the end of the season. What does that mean? As Everett on first down throws, it's deflected and it's incomplete. I think it's going to mean if Robinson doesn't get the control that he might want in terms of drafting and a few other things, it's going to be very interesting. If they fire him, it's going to be a terrible PR move here. Terrible. If they can't come to an agreement and he steps out gracefully, here's a guy who has already been rumored to be a candidate in Cleveland, maybe New England, maybe Tampa Bay. He will get a job.
Well, it's unthinkable to me that a man with John Robinson's track record, taking into account the injuries, the holdouts, the other problems that have plagued the Rams this year, also taking into consideration they played in the NFC Championship game a year ago, it's unthinkable to me that his job is in trouble, that he's in trouble and might not be back. That's just hard for me to grasp.
3rd and 10.
Ellard makes a bad move on Jim Everett.
Well, as far as Robinson is concerned, again, the Ram front office, let's put it this way, they are about as expansive as communiques from Eastern Europe prior to the falling of the wall last year. They don't say much. They give no indication as to what's going to happen to John, but he's prepared either way. Our gut feeling is, though, if he doesn't get the control that he desires, he may step out. 3rd and 10 from the 20. Ellard makes the catch up at the 35-yard line, and on 3rd and 10 they convert for a first down.
Ellard said, that's what I had in mind, Jim. But again, and this was brought up to George Seifert. He had a very interesting comment on it, and sort of paraphrasing, he was astonished that there was even such a consideration. He said, you look at the videos, you look at the films, and you know that this team is well coached. And again, I'll go back to what you said, Dan. When we had them early in the year, the Rams, we couldn't believe the number of holdouts defensively, particularly in the year they were going to change their defense. Also the injuries, and they just never got off the ground.
1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. Green. Stop for a loss. One of the things that's clearly afflicted the Rams in a way in the past, there have been long and acrimonious holdouts. It's a situation, I like it in a way, the Rams have the same sort of I guess, feeling that the Cincinnati Bengals have in terms of paying the players. There always seems to be griping and carrying on, and yet the Bengals have been to the Super Bowl twice. Speaking about a head coach. And, in fact, in the recent, there's one of Santa's wishes. In the recent NFLPA salary rankings, the 49ers were clearly number 1, and the Rams were 20 out of 28. Flag is down. Everett throws. And that's incomplete, and we'll see about the call. But I also want to add something to the Rams being 20th. It apparently doesn't include Kevin Green's big contract and Kurt Warner's contract, as he was released after signing a big deal at the beginning of the season.
Those are numbers released by the Players Association, but that's also, they're ranked 20th, if indeed they are somewhere around that area, in a city where the Raiders are ranked second.
Use some hands to the face. Number 75 default. First down.
Raiders play in the same city, and football players tend to get together. They hang out a lot, and it has to have had some kind of an impact. The Raiders, the second highest paid team behind the San Francisco 49ers in the National Football League.
It's, so ironic, Frank. It's pro football in Southern California this year. The year starts, the Raiders are on their way out of town, going back to Oakland. The fans are apathetic. They appear to be very ordinary. Hadn't been to the playoffs since '85. The Rams look like they're going to the Super Bowl. On first down, it is incomplete over the middle. Anderson slanting. And the irony is, as the year ends, the Raiders are firmly entrenched in L.A. The Coliseum is going to be refurbished. It's a great team. They are the dark horse darling now to go all the way to the Super Bowl. And the Rams are a team very much in flux on the edge of disarray.
I'll tell you, the Raiders dark horse is getting paler every time you watch them. See what Detroit did to Chicago yesterday. What we saw the Raiders do to Detroit, and they seem to be improving with each week. And they're liable to catch the playoffs where you have to, and that is in full stride.
2nd and 10 at the 39-yard line as Anderson goes in motion. Here's Green. Not the cleanest handoff you'll ever see, and that's a 2nd and long that comes up very short. 3rd and let's call it 9 at the 40. Let's call it 8 at the 41. No, 9 at the 40. 8:58 to go.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I'm waiting for the spot.
You're the only one calling it, so you can call it whatever you want.
Just trying to match the graphics. 3rd and 9 at the 40.
Oh, I'm so proud of you.
What a guy. Everett. And it is caught up at the 46-yard line by Ellard. Eric Davis with the coverage, and nobody throws that pass any better than Jim Everett.
We talked about it all night, and it's a good read by Everett and also Ellard. It isn't necessarily the pattern he's had called. He sees the one-on-one coverage. Ellard knows he's alive. He knows he's hot. And Everett fires it out there. The proverbial frozen rope. He really has the arm.
Eric Davis was close. There's not a cornerback in the NFL that's going to be able to make a play on a ball thrown low and away with that much velocity towards the sideline. You can't defend it.
8:10 to go, 3rd quarter. San Francisco leads by 12. The fake to Cleveland Gary, who's in the game for the first time, and Everett slides to a halt at the 47-yard line. Johnny Jackson will get credit for the tackle.
Everett is not a major threat to the outside. We were kidding him last night about the run and shoot. Forget about that. It will not come to the Rams while Everett is here.
I think maybe we'll just call him a classic pocket quarterback.
Yes. It's through GQ, the cover of GQ early in the year. Like so many others, the Rams were expected to certainly contend for the Super Bowl, and it's been a wildly disappointing year. And yet when you talk to Jim Everett, he said, look, I can't think that way. I've got to think positive, and he has.
Those aren't very good numbers, 8 of 19.
2nd and 10 from the 47-yard line. Ellard leaps for it, makes the catch. Takes an enormous hit from Waymer as he got inside Griffin to make the play, and it's a first down.
I think that's Ronnie Lott in there.
Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you.
Look, let's get a face. Oh, it's a good. I could have sworn he got in Waymer's clothes.
I like Henry Ellard coming across. He knows he's going to get this shot. A wide receiver coming across the middle. When it takes this long for that ball to get there, he knows when he comes down he's going to pay for it. He did. Covered it up, held on to the football. Good hit by Waymer, but a great effort by Ellard. He just knows he's going to get buried right there.
Boy, that is a carbon copy of the shot that Lott put on Mark Bavaro a couple of weeks ago. It comes with a position, I guess.
1st and 10, and a terrible pass is intercepted by Don Griffin. And Griffin loose. Griffin into San Francisco territory and tackles the 39-yard line. McGee and Everett go back to stop him. And we've got a marker down back at the 19-yard line.
Rams were trying a crossing pattern, and there were some bodies that collided. The flag flies against San Francisco.
Well, is it holding on the run back or defensive holding is the question?
I think it's defensive holding. I think the Rams are going to retain possession.
I mean, huge difference here.
Yes.
Yeah. If it's holding on the run back,
Griffin,
it's the 49er ball.
Griffin, I think, was trying to hold Willie Anderson as he tried to get deep.
They're spotting the ball and saying the Rams keep it.
Holding 49 on the defense. First down.
Got it, Griffin.
Willie Anderson trying to get deep, number 83. Griffin, number 29. He's in his own defense. Now he's just going to bump him. He's supposed to bump him and then let him go. Pick up the underneath man, but he gives him a little grab as he goes by, and he's in perfect position for the interception, but they bring it back. Hold him.
Sure didn't look like much of a hold from that angle, but we couldn't see his hands on the jersey.
1st and 18. Here's Cleveland Gary, and it's as you can see, he's wrapping the ball up. He's been plagued by fumbles. He's an outstanding runner. He's the type of runner Robinson loves, but the fumbles have been killing him lately.
Meanwhile, Don Griffin is moaning that he gets that defensive hold. From that angle, we saw it. Did not look like much of anything. Looked like legal contact, but the official who could see where his hands were must have thought that he grabbed a jersey and threw the flag. Makes it easier to go back to the huddle, though. There's nobody to blame. You don't have to look at a teammate and say, thanks a lot, you cost me an INT.
And Everett's going to take a timeout here.
They were just running out of time, and he knew he would probably not be able to get the playoff, so he has to waste the timeout.
5:46 to go in the third. 46 to go in the third quarter.
He loves
what
this.
a classic shot that is.
You know, there's a guy who'll ask not to have his jersey washed for next week's game.
I mean, this is Hollywood, but that's real stuff. That's not fake.
He prefers it that way.
2nd and 8 from the 16. This is Buford McGee picking up 2 on the fake toss, and then he takes it up the middle. Jim Everett, well, here he is in Southern California and talks about being a superstar in this area. QQ cover boy.
I don't know if I'm the prototype Los Angeles star. There's Magic Johnson and Wayne Gretzky, and those guys are particular. I think that probably a little bit more low-key. And enjoy to be so.
Well summarized. 3rd and 6 from the 14. Everett, his receiver, fell down. A flag goes down as well. He was looking for Delpino. Contact was made. Delpino goes down, and the back judge says pushing off San Francisco. Darryl Pollard.
I think this was a good call also. Pollard gave Delpino a little shove.
Defensive pass interference. Number 26, first down.
You can argue that, but you just can't make that contact after the receiver moves 5 yards downfield.
I can't recall ever having called a game with as many infractions in the secondary as we have seen tonight.
Well, you said it in the second quarter, didn't you?
And it's still going on.
There have been 4 defensive pass interferences called tonight, 1 offensive pass interference, and 2 illegal chucks, and 18 penalties in the game. We mentioned the Rams not penalized at all last week. 1st and goal. Gaston Green gets taken down from the rear by Pierce Holt. And Michael Carter gets the assist. It'll be 2nd and goal. Under 5 minutes to play, 3rd quarter. Pierce Holt, part of that great defensive line. And they have been very much the heart and soul of the San Francisco defense this year. Holt, Carter, and Burt sharing time at the nose, and Fagan.
How do you get some ink, though, with the Montanas and the Rices? It's just very difficult to do. And you're right, Al. Holt and Carter, Fagan, they have been the heart of this defense, and both coaches will tell you that. John Robinson told us that, and then you talk to George Seifert, he tells you exactly the same thing.
2nd and goal. Cox is an eligible receiver, 72 on the right side. Cleveland Gary takes it to the 4.
Now there's a guy, Frank, now you were a ball carrier. Now there's a guy who's worried a little too much about fumbling the ball. That was a tentative run.
I don't know how you deal with that. Robinson handled some of the great ball carries of all time, but when a player starts to drop the football, and during my career, it happens to every running back. You get on a streak where you lose a few of them, and here in L.A. they've made it into something unbelievable. But Cleveland Gary's got to go back to being Cleveland Gary and running with the football. That time he was so tentative, he bounced right, bounced left. You get down there inside the 5, around the 5, you got to put your head down. You can't be thinking about fumbling the football.
3rd and goal with 4 receivers in this set. And Everett with a deep drop, the fake, and then the throw is incomplete, intended for McGee. And it will be 4th and goal. 3:34, and Lansford comes in. The crowd boos, but Robinson is thinking mathematics right now. He's down by 12. If he gets the field goal, then he needs a touchdown and a field goal to go ahead, assuming they can hold San Francisco scoreless in the interim. 21-yard attempt for Lansford. Holohan to hold. And Lansford tacks on 3. And we have 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the third quarter at Anaheim. The 49er lead. Well,
like Harry Carey with a butterfly net, we went to the bleachers to do the game.
Anaheim Stadium in the third quarter with 3:30 remaining. 49ers on top 19-10. Lansford checks, fielded at the 2. Dexter Carter.
Whoa.
Taken down at the 25-yard line. Brett Farinez in on the tackle, and with 3:20 left in the third quarter, 49ers will take possession at that spot. And they lead by 9 as they seek to go 13-1 and clinch home quarter. 3:20 remaining, and the 49ers have the ball and a 19-10 lead. 1st and 10, San Francisco at their own 25-yard line. Taylor split left, Rice to the right. Montana deep drop, sets up the screen, but it's flicked. Dexter Carter was the intended receiver, and somebody might have gotten a hand on it. It'll be 2nd and 10. You know, George Seifert, longtime assistant, took over when Bill Walsh decided to retire. The last time he had been a head coach prior to being with the 49ers, he was at Cornell, where he was not only 3-15, he had the dubious distinction of losing to Columbia twice. And the second time he lost, he'd been fired the day before the game. It wasn't publicly announced, and he made the bus ride to New York and was beaten. And then went back and beat Penn in their big traditional in his final game and was carried off the field. Carter picks up 11.
Joe Montana must be getting a little tired of having Doug Reed almost take the handoff. That time, Reed again blowing through the line of scrimmage, and it's the same blocking scheme we saw before. The right tackle, Steve Wallace, trying to block down, but Reed slanting to the inside, and he actually has a hold of Montana as he makes the handoff to Dexter Carter. This is how a quarterback can get hurt, and get hurt easily.
Carter picks up 11. 1st and 10, San Francisco from the 36-yard line. Green pursues, gets the sack back at the 33-yard line.
I'll tell you, that's a pretty classy move on the part of Kevin Green. He had Montana where he could have really put a potential hurt on him.
That's his 12th sack of the year. He leads this ball club. Kevin Green, just a straight upfield rush, working against right tackle Steve Wallace. And you're right. That's tender loving care, putting a quarterback on the ground.
I love seeing Honolulu in the Pro Bowl.
From the other side, you see Wallace coming out, trying to run Green upfield. Wallace acting like he expected Montana to take a shorter drop, and that's as graceful a sack as you'll see.
2nd and 13. Montana throws, and it's incomplete, intended for Rathman. He was hit by Kelm, and then there's further action. McIntyre involved, Newsom involved, flags are down, whistles are blowing, sirens are sounding.
Now, Kelm did get up and run with the ball, and McIntyre hit him, but whistles were blowing all over the field. I mean, I think they're going to penalize McIntyre as well. They should. Even though Kelm is up running with the ball, every official on the field is blowing his whistle.
And for McIntyre, that was a great shot. He probably always wanted to play defense.
We have a personal foul, 62 defense, offense. It is 3rd down.
I mean, when the play comes to a conclusion, which is right here, it's ruled an incomplete pass. You can see the official right there crossing his arms and blowing the whistle. You can't see him blow the whistle. God, McIntyre comes over and puts a pretty good smooch on Fernandez.
That moves it back to the 18 and makes it 3rd down and 28.
McIntyre, he's the guy that actually preceded the refrigerator and getting into the backfield. Bill Walsh put him back there. He was the first big man in the backfield.
Against Chicago, against Ditka, and then Ditka the next year put the fridge in the backfield.
Yeah.
On 3rd and 28, Taylor had it right in his hands and couldn't hold on. And you don't see that very often. Vince Newsom with the coverage. It still would have been well short of the 1st down.
You know, we've been doing a lot of that tonight. You don't see this very often.
Yeah.
And yet, what you do see very often is them leading on the scoreboard.
Well, as we said at the very beginning tonight, it's as if everybody said, hey, the 49ers are vulnerable simply because they're not blowing people out. They're not as dominant. But, hey, there's only one thing that matters. It's called wins and losses. 12-1. Those are the salient figures.
But when you look at, I guess, some of the great teams of the past, of which the 49ers have been one, the Bears in '85, the Giants in '86, those teams were smothering people. I mean, just totally dominating them off the board.
In particular late in the season.
Yeah.
That was Barry Hilton's first kick of the night. It's taken at the 39 by Darrell Henley. He goes out of bounds at the 48, 43-yard kick, 10-yard run back. And the Rams are down by 9 and beginning this drive near midfield. Georgia Frontieri signing some autographs. The owner of the Rams, who inherited the team from her late husband Carol Rosenblum after he drowned in 1979.
Watching the game very closely, I see. Riveted to every play.
First down at the 49-yard line as it's dropped off for Cleveland Gary, and he spins his way into Niner territory, a gain of 2. Tackled by DeLong. It'll be 2nd and 8 with 1:20 to go in the 3rd.
You know, one of the problems they have here with the Rams, many people will tell you, is the fact that the Rams office is up in Los Angeles. We're in Anaheim, which is a long way away, and seldom do the two get together. And the football team itself and the coaching staff, they feel a little bit isolated from management, and I think rightfully so.
Well, more and more, though, John Shaw is spending more time in Anaheim. They say about 3 days a week and 2 days up at the Pico Boulevard offices in L.A. 2nd down and 8 as Cleveland Gary takes the toss. Flag is thrown. He is stopped for no gain. Romanowski is in on the tackle. And don't hang down your head, Tom Dooley, and tell us what the deal is here. Holding against Los Angeles. In the words of Van Earl Rice.
Who?
Yeah. I just dropped names here and there. Little buzzes.
Holding 86 out there. 2nd down.
Damone Johnson. 44 ticks remaining in the 3rd quarter. Here's the hold. Well,
I missed that one.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the hold.
I mean, a good job by Charles Haley of fighting off Johnson's block, but I sure didn't see the hold.
2nd and 18 from the 41-yard line. Everett. Out he steps at the 42-yard line. And it's going to be 3rd and long as Romanowski gets credit for the tackle. It's going to be 3rd and about 17 with 20 seconds remaining in the period. Rams 5 and 8. Still mathematically alive for a playoff berth, but good luck. Clock goes back into action under the rules instituted this year, even after an out-of-bounds play, and the Rams will let it expire. Same sides of the field, and we'll have 15 minutes remaining in regulation. 4th quarter will begin. Gun sounds. Rams will have 3rd and long when we come back. San Francisco leads by 9. And we'll return to Anaheim after this word from our ABC station. Type of game the 49ers have played this season. They haven't been dominant. The score is close. But who's leading?
Well, when you have that much talent, and I mean that's strictly what we're looking at, when you have that much talent, even if they don't play the type of game that they're capable of playing, they're still better than the people that they're playing against. I think it just speaks to the awesome talent on this 49ers squad.
3rd and 17, and Clipper Anderson is short of the first down by about 4 yards.
People point back to that game 3 weeks ago where the Rams won 28-17. It was played in a rainstorm up at Candlestick Park. The Rams got off early following a turnover, and the 49ers wound up uncharacteristically turning it over 6 times. This is a different ball game, the exact opposite tonight. They controlled it pretty much, even though the Rams are still well in it.
I mean, the Rams are a potent offensive team. Ronnie Lott isn't in this game. Chet Brooks isn't in this game. We've got hurt people. We've got Michael Walter, their starting middle linebacker, not playing. Ricky Ellison, their other starting middle linebacker of a year ago, is now playing with the Raiders.
And they're not running the ball well.
But yet, this is a team that has lots of good players. They just plug them in.
Taylor on the run back. Picks up a lot of yardage laterally.
That's pretty.
But his net on the run back was about 8 or 9, and then he and Latin Berry get into it.
Well, Taylor thinks he was hit out of bounds. He's not thrilled about that.
John called him Pig Latin on the way back to the other side. Well, the sentiments of some fans expressed there.
Well, you mentioned John Robinson's tremendous popularity here in Southern California. That's certainly an opinion held by more than just a couple.
First down is Dexter Carter swings to the outside, and he's run out of bounds up at the 27.
His popularity is all not just PR spin either. I mean, when you go back to his days with the Trojans and the many Rose Bowl trips, came here in '82, has not had a losing season, even though they probably will this year. In the playoffs, 6 out of the past 7 years. That's not bad.
Meanwhile, we've talked about the Niners on the ground, and as you can see, they are last in the league in yards per rush, trailing even Cleveland and New England. And look at the seasons the Browns and the Patriots are having. And yet the 49ers are the best record in the NFL. Who says you need a running game? 2nd and 5 from the 26. Carter gives them a running game in a hurry.
That'll help the old average.
Newsome tries to chase him down, and inside the 10, touchdown, Dexter Carter, the rookie from Florida State, 74 yards.
And
Hello.
once again, a well-timed graphic.
What'd you do, kill him, Al? Now, touchdown run, Carter. Revived the 49er running game. He turned out to be a pretty handy #1 draft pick on the part of the 49ers, who drafted way down at the bottom.
Well, they drafted him as the kind of back Dave Meggett is with New York. Return man, 3rd down specialist. Not a heavy-duty guy, but he does some heavy-duty running right here.
Well, 49ers' longest run from scrimmage was last week by Craig, a 26-yarder, and Carter just erased that.
Again, tremendous blocking, though, by the offensive line up front. Paris and McIntyre at the point of attack. Harris Barton coming around on the pull.
Cofer boots it through. Dexter Carter, his first NFL touchdown in primetime.
You see Jamie Williams in motion. There's Harris Barton, 79 on the pull. McIntyre and Paris eradicate the Rams at the line of scrimmage, and Dexter Carter knows what to do when he's this far out in the open. Boy, this team has talent at every position.
Your blimp. I wonder what air traffic control thinks of this team.
Yeah,
right. All right. Yeah, Captain. The point was made. Yeah.
I'm sure if there's nothing in front of that blimp, I guess you don't have to look out the front window to fly that thing.
I'm glad they turned the game on when we came to them.
13:44 remaining, 4th quarter. Gaston Green back to receive the kick, along with Delpino. Cofer's boot taken at the 3 by the former UCLA Bruin, and Green brings it back to the 14-yard line. 13:35. Well, we talked about the problems the Niners were having. We showed you the graphic a moment ago. There it is, updated. And look at that. The Giants would be 26th in the league in effect, and the 49ers now 25th in the league in yards per rush, with Cleveland and New England at the bottom. The league average is 4.07.
Nothing like vaulting past 3 teams with 1 run.
Yep.
Thank you, Dexter.
Yeah. The 49ers finding a running game last week in Cincinnati, and Carter turning in this one tonight. Everett's throw is nearly picked off. Johnny Jackson was right there.
Talk about the ability, the lack of ability to run the football. Yet Joe Montana is rapidly approaching, if he hasn't reached it, his best year ever in terms of yardage. So it really doesn't matter how you get it done. Again, it's what's up there in the one-loss column.
By the way, that run for Carter, that's the longest run by a 49er since 1977 during the regular season. Wilbur Jackson ran 80 yards against New Orleans that year. Up to the 20. You know, the funny thing about the 49ers, when we talk about their running game, if you go back to their 1981 team, they had no running game. Their leading ball carrier, if you can get it, you guys, I'll send you to Hawaii right now, if you can guess it within 5 seconds. 81?
The Rams?
49ers.
Oh, the 49ers
came from the Rams.
Ricky Patton.
Oh, stop it. You heard that from Kenny Wolf, and knock it off. I'm not going to Hawaii on me.
Who was
right.
it?
Ricky Patton.
We weren't counting on going to Hawaii on you anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Go to the truck for your tickets.
Wait a minute. You made a bet. Do I pay up?
Yeah, right. 3rd and 5 from the 20.
Oh, I've seen this one.
Everett caught by Holohan. And he keeps the drive alive, takes it out to the 45-yard line, stopped by Dave Waymer. So Holohan, who's been pretty silent tonight, is on the receiving end of a 24-yard game.
Part of the old theory about you have to have a running game going to the playoff goes back to the teams that play up in that tough weather. In the 49ers, they play New Orleans at home next week. That should be pretty good. Then they play up in Minnesota, but they play in a dome there. They will, in all probability, have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They win tonight. They will. And then they're going to play a Super Bowl in Tampa if they get there.
Swung out to Gary as he receives the pass from Everett. Picks up about 2. Romanowski makes the tackle with 12 minutes to play in the 4th.
Well, that just goes back and really, again, emphasizes the importance of that game between the Giants and the 49ers of a couple of weeks ago. Now, the Giants have gone on and since lost again, but a huge difference being at home at Candlestick Park and having to go to the Meadowlands in the middle of January without that running game. Because you could hit some tough weather.
And it's picked off by Don Griffin. And Griffin gets taken down from behind at the LA 46-yard line by Flipper Anderson.
Tough weather. The 49ers have been there twice in the playoffs. They got blown away 17-3 and 49-0.
Yep.
And the 49ers leading by 16, and they have the ball back.
There's Ellard, who didn't play in the first game, and that time Ellard looked like he just gave up on it.
And what was Ellard doing?
Well, the ball now at the 46-yard line.
The ball overthrown. I guess it was so far overthrown that Henry Ellard didn't have a shot at it.
But it was kind of distorted angle we had at it.
Yeah, it was difficult to tell.
From the 46, here's Dexter Carter. Picks up about 4. You know, George Seifert would love to see him emerge. Roger Craig is still a terrific back. But let's face it, with Roger Craig, he's been hearing for the last couple of years that he has lost a step, that he's maybe not as quick. He's been reading that he's more washed up than George Carlin. He's had to put up with all of these things, and he says, the heck with that. Hey, he said, I'm still a pretty good back. But if Dexter Carter can begin to emerge, you know you're going to see more time for him in the backfield.
Yeah, well, there's no way Roger Craig is that washed up. I mean, that's...
Carlin's got a couple of years left.
2nd and 5 at the 41-yard line. Montana throws it at the feet of the intended receiver, Jamie Williams. It'll be 3rd down.
One thing the 49ers found out about Dexter Carter was, you know, they drafted this kid, and you mentioned before the name of Dave Meggett. I mean, that's really the role they envisioned. But then when Craig got hurt, I think they found something out that they didn't know that they had bargained for, and that was how tough he is between the tackles. How well he follows blockers, how he has the ability for a small man, and make no doubt about it, he is a small man at 5'9", 170, that he's able to bang in there and do two things. One, get results, and two, not get injured.
3rd and 5 from the 41-yard line as Montana throws, and that's dropped by Jerry Rice, who has been silent in the second half, but certainly had a noisy enough first half. 4th and 5. 10:40 to play. Niners comfortably up by 16. And a reminder, no Monday Night Football next Monday as we invite you to enjoy your Christmas Eve. And we'll have a Saturday game for you, 8 Eastern and 5 Pacific, Washington at Indianapolis. Barry Hilton, his first punt tonight, 43 yards. He's last in the league in gross average, but he punted well last week against Cincinnati. And this kick is relatively decent, but doesn't take a good bounce. Comes back to the 14, down there by Wilson. Tom Dooley engaged in a discussion here, and no flag, though. Simply ram ball at the 14 when we come back. 10:32 remaining in the fourth. Statistician George Hill reminds me we have 632 seconds remaining in the game.
The premier statistician is considering a 10:15 flight, I might point out here Pacific time.
26-10 the score.
And it's in jeopardy.
This game will add to the weekend's average.
Rams at their own 15-yard line to begin this drive. Everett throws the out pattern to Holohan. That's his second catch of the night, and both have come in the last couple of minutes of play. Up to the 22, gain of 7. So the crowd quiet, and many of them exiting, getting an early start back. The Rams finished at home after this one. They go to Atlanta next week, and then we get them on New Year's Eve in our final Monday night game of the season in New Orleans. Everett sacked back at the 14-yard line. And that's Dennis Brown. He's the rookie out of Washington. He's a comer. 49ers figured that they picked a gem in the draft. They had questioned his work habits in college and the like, but think that they've got a diamond in the rough here.
Big man, 6'4", 290-pounder. Niners are also welcoming a healthy Larry Roberts back defensively. And again, that defensive line of the 49ers is so quick off the blocks. Every time you talk to an offensive coordinator, an offensive coach, they'll tell you that, how quickly they react off a block.
3rd and 11 from the 14. 9:20 to go. 3-man rush. 8 defenders, and Everett's able to find the open man anyway. That's Pete Holohan, 10th year out of Notre Dame, the former Charger. First down up at the 33-yard line. '49ers head home, and they'll face New Orleans next week as the Saints go to Candlestick Park, and then their season ends at Minnesota. But they're in the best of all possible worlds. Home field advantage clinched throughout the playoffs. They can just think about staying sharp and avoiding injuries. 1st and 10 from the 33. Everett lets loose, and it is intercepted by Dave Waymer. Takes it away from Willie Anderson, and the 49ers have it back at the 21.
The Rams are just giving in to the inevitable with a little over 8 minutes remaining to play in the game. They're down by 16 points. You've got to get one quick. 49ers, of course, defensively are aware of that, so you try to go to your speediest man. He's on the outside, Willie Anderson, and you get the double coverage on him. You get the interception.
And the 49ers, knowing they had to sign a defensive back, took a long look at two guys. One was Dave Waymer, the other was Everson Walls, that ended up signing with the Giants. And this is the reason that the 49ers chose Waymer, because of his ability to play safety and play safety well. And a good look at it right there That's how you do it in center field. Slide over and make the play.
And he's a veteran. He's been around. He's in there making the calls that Ronnie Lott would have been making had he been able to be in tonight's game.
Here's Carter. Picks up 4. You know, with Waymer, it's another case of if you can't beat him, join him. Waymer's the guy who has more career interceptions against Joe Montana than any other defensive back. 4 while he was a member of the Saints.
That's good point. Just absorb him.
And in a way, he's a once and present teammate of Montana because he played with Joe back at Notre Dame.
Okay, they were teammates back to Notre Dame back, what, 78? 77, 78?
In that area. QB comparison tonight. It's
Look at that.
Well, yeah, that's funny. Boy, you talk about deceiving.
All the way
Wow.
until the last category, and that's where Joe Montana comes out on top.
That's the ultimate in deception. Rathman picks up 9.
Awesome display of broken field straightaway running. Rathman doesn't give you a whole lot of speed out of the backfield, but he will give you ball possession. Rarely does he ever cough it up.
He's coughed it up only 3 times in his career, ironically twice against the Rams, and both were very costly. Once last year, once this year. .7:10 remaining. 49ers have the ball and a 16-point cushion. Dexter Carter out to about the 36-yard line. Under 7 minutes to play now.
Talk about how tough Carter is. He took quite a shot from Newman and still spun away from it. Montana, great management of the clock. He takes that clock right down to the final second before he gets the snap off.
'49ers, by the way, not only clinching home field advantage, but you also get a break in the playoff scheduling because in their first playoff game, which will come the weekend of January 12th and 13th, they will meet the worst remaining team. Here's Rathman for no gain. It sounds a little confusing, but what it amounts to is that if you finish with the best record, as the 49ers will, you meet the worst wild card survivor in your first round game. So you get a break in the schedule there.
Yes, it does sound a little confusing.
Yes, it does. I think we'll terminate it at this point, too. But trust us, folks, it gives you home field advantage, it gives you a week off, and it means you play seemingly the most inferior opponent.
And one of the things you get in the NFL is you do get some perks for winning the regular season, for having the best record in your conference during the regular season. There are some real advantages.
Yep. 3rd and 9 from the 36. Montana, was his arm coming forward? It has not been so signaled. Thus, it's a live ball, and it's the Rams' ball, according to the officials. But this one may be reviewed.
That'll be a sack. That will be a sack by Kevin Green. I think that's number 13 on the year for Green.
Recovery by Mike Peel.
Montana taking a little bit deeper drop than he ordinarily has been taking, and he gets around Steve Wallace.
I think that's a good call. That's a good call by the official. That arm did not appear to have started forward. I think that's a sack and a fumble.
They're looking at it for the moment.
Let's look and see it from a different angle. The arm's coming back, coming back, coming back. See, the ball is long gone, I think, before Joe actually starts his forward movement, and it stands.
Play stands, Everett throws, and Johnny Jackson does not intercept it. He short-hopped it. Pleads his case on the way toward L.A. territory, but to no avail. 2nd down. You know, we've talked about Jackson filling in with Lott gone and with Brooks gone, and you think back, and a guy by the name of Jeff Fuller used to play back there for the 49ers too, and suffered a career-ending injury last year.
And Eric Wright, they've made so many changes. You see why now. Jackson didn't complain too loudly to the official.
2nd down at the 36-yard line.
Touching on really the key to the 49ers' success, Al. They've been able to bring somebody in whenever somebody goes down. They hardly miss a beat with it.
That's right. Well, I thought Scott Osler had a great column in the National today about just that, the 49ers. And remember, the league tries to penalize you for being good. Bad draft choices, bad scheduling, and the whole thing. And here are the 49ers who just keep rolling along through the 80s and clearly into the 90s.
Look at Matt Millen, fourth down. They're going to have to go for something. Hey, Deacon.
There is David Deacon Jones, number 75 with the Los Angeles Rams. The greatest pass rushing defensive end the game has ever seen.
That must have meant he got around you a few times.
Oh, and he had the greatest head slap the game has ever seen.
4th and 10. Everett throws. A nice catch is made by Buford McGee, and he tries to fight his way for a first down, but comes up short. And thus, on the 4th down play, the 49ers will take over with 4:51 remaining in the game. Deacon Jones, part of that fearsome foursome. Unfortunately for him, played at a time when they didn't keep sack statistics. Because you just wonder how many. And so you can compare them to some of today's people, the Reggie Whites and such.
Wouldn't you like to have watched and watched closely again some of those great battles that took place between a Deacon Jones and a Forrest Gregg or an Ernie McMillan, and I mean some of the great one-on-one, because we saw more of those individual confrontations back then. Most teams just played that straight 4-3 defense, and they didn't substitute as much. I mean, two guys would get locked up for 60 or 70 plays a game.
You really got to know them better. You got to the point where you look for those situations.
Guy McIntyre, hello, sports fans.
Dexter Carter gets 6.
I think that was Michael Stewart. Boy, what? Now that is how you pull on a sweep and lead your ball carrier. Guy, baby. Look at this. Here's Guy McIntyre. Watch him come out and lead this sweep. Watch the hit he's going to put on Michael Stewart. Boom!
How do you get that kind of leverage? That's amazing.
That's as good as it gets.
Either that is poorly played as it gets by Stewart.
2nd and 5 up at the 36-yard line. Whoa! And the Rams return the favor in the person of Alvin Wright, who is right there. Meanwhile, the 49ers have opted to not give Young that playing time that we thought he might see tonight. In this situation, still Montana in the waning moments. 4:20 to play.
Curious to see if we'll see him next week against New Orleans or later against Minnesota. Of course, when Young comes in, I mean, he's such a good athlete. I mean, his ability is to come on the field and scramble and run with the football. And I think that maybe George Seifert just counts on that heavily. But you would think that he would want him to have just a little bit of time on the field before they go into the playoffs.
Well, but you're right in the sense that over the next 2 weeks, Seifert can give him as much time as he'd like. Here's Carter, seeks the first down, and is successful in that pursuit. And that will put him at about 120-some-odd yards tonight. Exactly 120, in fact, on his 9th carry of the game. Last time the 49ers had a 100-yard rushing game last season. In the game here it was against Buffalo, actually, right after the game in Anaheim. Craig did it against the Bills.
Although as a team, they had over 200 yards last week against Cincinnati.
Craig had 97, yep. From the 43-yard line. So what are they going to say about the 49ers now? They're vulnerable because their short snapping is erratic on extra points occasionally. And we've got a moron out because we got a guy coming onto the field looking for an autograph.
And it wasn't him.
No.
It happened one time in Pittsburgh in Forbes Field, and a fan ran out, ran into the huddle to say hello to Bobby Lane, and Lane decked him.
Well, the best of all time, I think, was Mike Curtis.
Personal foul. 81 offense. First down.
They almost got him for manslaughter.
The fan ran out onto the field, and Mike Curtis, the linebacker of the Baltimore Colts, put a fine stroke on this guy.
Yep. Realigned his profile.
That is in one of the NFL films, Football Follies, clips always up towards the front. One of the great characters of the game, Mike Curtis. Number 32.
After the penalty, Montana pushed back to the 27-yard line. It is 1st and 25. 3:02 to play. Niners up by 16. Rathman up to the 28-yard line. Jamie Williams and Farinese exchange pleasantries. The Rams ending their home season tonight. 2-6 at home this year, with the only victories over Atlanta and Houston.
Jamie Williams going all the way tonight after Brett Jones went down in the first quarter with a concussion. That's the basic stand-up blocking.
Well, that's a good job against Farinese, and Farinese grabs Jamie Williams' face mask at the end.
Oh my! What is that card worth? Look at this!
Look at this, Frank.
Whoa! Tell you the value of some of those. Look at that knee action. What a prancer!
I want to know how come mine got thrown on the floor.
You really want to know?
because it's worthless. That's all.
Dexter Carter, and we got a little shoving going on here, and Taylor and Farinese, who've been kind of going at it all night. Face mask to face mask. Wiltshire comes in.
Here comes the flag.
Got our 2-minute warning.
Taylor's the foolish one with his hand in that face mask. He's going to need all those fingers with the games coming up in the playoffs.
No, foolish is Guy McIntyre, who took his helmet off.
And when they sort it all out, it'll probably be offsetting penalties or no penalties or whatever. Barely matters. We have reached the 2-minute warning.
We have offsetting fouls, personal fouls, 2-minute warning after the play.
Whatever. 2 minutes to go. Niners 120 seconds away from clinching home field advantage throughout the playoffs. California Home Wreckers is the name of this animation. What do we mean by that? Well, the home team has been blown out by the visiting team in this particular series since 1980, counting tonight. 15 out of 20 games won by the visiting team. Rams good success at Candlestick, and the Niners have been almost invincible here in Anaheim.
This is what, Joe, Montana's 19th time he started, or rather 9th time he started, won all 9 of them. Here in Anaheim.
Dexter Carter goes nowhere. It'll be 4th down. Larry Kelm makes the tackle. And 49ers will kick. 49ers are going to win their 17th straight road game. You keep reading different figures. Why do you read it? Because some people insist on adding in postseason. But it's like baseball, it's like hockey, it's like basketball. You don't count postseason with regular season. So it's 17 regular season games. That's the record.
It looks better.
They also won one postseason game against Chicago, so it's a total of 18.
But what is it if you put the postseason in?
Right. Well, it's 18 if you put the postseason, but it's like adding World Series numbers to the regular season. You just don't do it. It's like adding Walter Payton's postseason figures to his regular season. You don't do it.
It really angers Steve Herr when you do it.
Well,
you mustn't do it.
Oh, yeah. Hey, 16-point game. Little punt that rolls dead at the 32. And Rams will take over there with 59 seconds remaining. The executive producer of Monday Night Football is Jeffrey Mason, and our producer tonight, the Wolfman, Ken Wolf, directed by Craig Janoff. Joe Shavo is our technical director. The great Ben Harvey is our associate director. Rick Abbott and Kurt Fluker, the assistants to the producer. Hal Danforth, Jim Licata, Tony Versley, tech op managers. Patrick McManus, halftime associate producer. Steve Hurd, our director of information. Renate Larone up in the booth. George Hill, our set man, and Malibu Kelly Hayes. Spotting that sack by Charles Haley.
And that moves Charles over the 15 mark. I think that's number 15 and a half for Charles Haley, one of the NFL leaders in that department. And he is one of those guys that just spends all game in the other team's backfield.
He is one of the best around in this league and one of the most unheralded, too. And he has been for years. He just quietly does it all for the 49ers. When every quarterback you talk to before they played 49ers, they tell you they want to know where Haley is.
How about Bruce Smith this weekend? I nominate him for the winner of the Back It Up Award. He talked a pretty good game before he played it, and then played an even better one.
He also talked a very articulate game as Holohan fumbles the ball. Eric Davis almost runs it all the way back in. He's tackled at the 2-yard line. After Aaron Cox can't hold it, another flag goes down. Duval Love is involved. Dave Waymer is involved.
You better watch out here.
Pollard gets Waymer out of the way. 16 seconds remain. And this one ends with all kinds of skirmishing and wrestling and all of the rest of it.
On the defense. First down.
Personal foul, Duval Love, 1st and goal.
And you're looking at a whole lot of frustration on the part of these Rams, who were picked by many to go to the Super Bowl this year. Got off to a terrible start. And what a tough year for this man, who's certainly unused to it. The first losing season he'll have with the Rams came in '82. And we mentioned before, 6 of the last 7 years in the playoffs. NFC Championship a year ago, and all of a sudden they have to endure this kind of a season, but also look ahead to really the unknown, because as we talked about earlier, there is a lot of question marks about John Robinson and the Rams.
By the way, on the Bruce Smith thing, just to wrap up what we started to talk about, he said after the game, he said, hey, get it straight. I didn't say I'm better than Taylor. I said he was great for 10 years. I've had a better year. And Bruce, you're right.
And a class move by the 49ers. Nothing to gain by running a play other than rubbing it in. Joe Montana just downs it. The 49ers have successfully secured the home field advantage all the way through the playoffs. Their next road game, if they continue to win, will be in Tampa on January 27th.
And just think, in 2 weeks we get to see the Rams again.
And we have no Monday night game again for you next week. It's Christmas Eve. We'll see you Saturday. We'll be in Indianapolis. Eric Dickerson, Jeff George, and the Colts will host the Washington Redskins. Mark Rippon, Ernest Feiner, and company. Till then, Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorf. Good night from Anaheim.
Seen since 1985. The Cowboy comeback is so dramatic it almost seems scripted in Hollywood. Here's Leslie.
Yes, Greg. Last year, the Dallas Cowboys were the laughingstock of the NFL. Jimmy Johnson called it the worst experience of his life. Remember, Lawrence Taylor said the Cowboy offense was so simple he thought it was a trick. We'll take another look, LT. Dallas is on the verge of the biggest one-year turnaround in NFL history.
Aikman, going up top, and it's intercepted.
Now, I know that there are skeptics among you that might suspect that that's not the whole story.
Indeed, it isn't. Chances are the last time people talked about Dallas, it was the TV show, not the team. In recent years, the Cowboys have shot themselves in the foot. Now, like JR, they seem to be emerging from the nightmare. Well, hey, ride 'em, Cowboys. With a solid defense, an emerging offense, and 5 first-round draft picks in the next 2 years, they're not talking Dallas around here. They're talking dynasty.
I think going into the season, if someone would have said we'd finish 7-9, guys would be happy about it and say that was a big turnaround for us. But being at 7-7 right now and having 2 ball games left and having a chance to make it to the playoffs, I think it'll be a disappointing season for us and everyone involved if we don't make it.
Their chances of making it have been greatly enhanced by the development of rookie running back Emmitt Smith, who scored 4 times against Phoenix last week.
It took a little time to gel together. It took time for me to get comfortable with the system also and just know my assignments.
But at the start of the year, many assignments were blown, and the newcomers as well as the old-timers paid the price.
It got pretty bad. It was extremely rough to even go out the house and go to the grocery store because guys was always asking what's wrong with the Cowboys or what's going to happen. And people did start to point fingers for a while about the new era, the new regime.
To the fans, the old regime had been ruthlessly cast aside. A dynasty with a 20-year record of excellence was overshadowed by an oil man from Arkansas.
I was aware of Jimmy because he's my friend, and so felt very comfortable that when we hit hard times, we've had them, and we're going to have some more, that we could stand back to back and work our way through them.
There really never was any self-doubt. There were some frustrating times. You know, we knew that it was going to be difficult. We knew that we were going to have a very tough year, but we were willing to fight through it because eventually we'd get it turned around.
I know I'd go from rags to riches.
Like another former heavyweight champion from Texas, the Cowboys feel they have gotten up off the canvas and back into contention. They've been wheeling and dealing, and if you think they're hot now, just look at the embarrassment of riches still on the way.
I'd be a millionaire.
Good job, Ray. Concentrate on the ball now. Get a little bend in your knees, concentrate on the football. Let's go. Pick it up. Good job, Ryan.
Now that we're at this stage, we can be better, and that's what we're working for.
But do you feel a little greedy saying that? You know, someone said to you a year ago, hey, 7-7.
Well, I have to give you a little clue. I am greedy.
I got to tell you, I'm enjoying this.
The Cowboy fans are greedy, too. You know, you hear on the West Coast that they think it's going to be an all-California Super Bowl. It's going to be the 49ers and the Raiders. In New York, you hear all New York. It's going to be the Bills and the Giants. Well, in Texas, they're saying, why can't it be an all-Texas Super Bowl? Why can't it be the Cowboys and the Oilers? Now, before you make that face, remember the World Series when Cincinnati swept Oakland. Terry, what about the Cowboys? How good can they be?
Living in the Dallas area, the town there loves this team because they're a blue-collar team. This is a team that doesn't want to be America's team. They want to be Dallas's team. They're building with good defense, good quarterback, excellent running game, and a coach that knows talent.
And they are building their way. They're not there yet, but they've certainly done some
The fifth-place schedule has helped them a lot. Don't forget that.
Sure. All right. Thanks very much, Leslie. Appreciate it. Next up, we'll open up.
Buffalo. Don't believe them. They've been thinking about this day for 3 months. NBC Sports presents the National Football League. Today, it's the Miami Dolphins versus the Buffalo Bills. A capacity crowd, 80,000 plus at Rich Stadium in Buffalo for the AFC's most significant head-on matchup of the season. Buffalo 12-2. Miami at 11-3. A Buffalo win clinches the division title. If Miami wins today and next week against the Colts, the AFC East crown goes south along with home field throughout the playoffs. Here in Buffalo, 35 degrees, freezing rain changing to sleet and snow, while the Dolphins can only fantasize about the balmy conditions in Miami, where it is 82 degrees with sunshine. Speaking of sunshine, this is Paul McGuire. I'm Marv Albert, and for the first time in the history of these two franchises, Buffalo and Miami are playing here in Buffalo in the month of December. How will the weather affect Miami?
Well, it's not going to affect Buffalo as much as it is Miami. Miami, I'm looking at a situation here, is handling the football on pass receptions and also turning the ball over in fumbles. A turnover is going to win this football game.
And the Buffalo Bills won the toss. They will receive. Pete Stoyanovich getting set to kick it away to number 30, Don Smith, who is back deep along with Al Edwards. Smith from the 15. Able to return across the 25-yard line. There is Frank Reich replacing the injured Jim Kelly. And the offensive line, Will Wolford, was a question mark because of a knee injury suffered last week, but says he's all right. Thurman Thomas and Jamie Mueller are the running backs. And the outstanding group of receivers, Lofton and Reed, along with the tight end McKellar. The shotgun of the passing down. Beebe comes on, along with Smith. And you can look for Don Beebe to be one of the favorite targets of Frank Reich. It's a first down from the 27. And Reich to throw on first down. McKellar could not hang on. The tight end Keith McKellar, a legitimate receiving threat, could not hold it. Covered by Cliff Odom. Defensively, Ryan Sauché replacing the injured T.J. Turner, inactive today because of a knee problem. Buffalo in the hurry-up. Second down and 10 from the 27. To the ground for Thomas. Thurman Thomas averaging just under 5 yards per carry. Back to the Dolphin defensive look in passing situations. Wholesale changes are made. Again, Buffalo in the hurry-up. And you see Wilson, Jr., Glenn, and Thomas come on in the nickel. It is is a 3rd down and 5 from the 32. Wright has the first down, combining with Thurman Thomas. He picked up 15.
See, the one thing about the hurry-up offense when they ran it with Kelly, and they can also run with Reich, is what they do is they've got Miami in their basic defense, and they're trying to keep them there. When they do this, Thurman Thomas, number 34, comes out of the backfield. The tight end takes the linebackers out of play.
And again to the hurry-up, and Wright completes a hard hit on Don Beebe. That went for 14. The strong safety, Jarvis Williams, on the stop. Well, the Miami Dolphins expected the Buffalo Bills to stay on the ground, but the Bills crossing the Dolphins up early. Wright has been going to the air.
Wright is going to the air. They put Tasker in. They took Beebe out. He took a shot, and they're checking his back.
First down at the 38, just underway, minute and a half gone by. Here's Thomas. And Thurman Thomas forced out by the right corner, J.B. Brown.
When they run this sweep, what happens is that the tight end, and they try to tie up the linebacker, which is Hugh Green, number 55. If Hugh Green can't get outside, that means Thurman Thomas can get outside.
Buffalo Bills have been a very fast starting outfit, and they're on the move off this opening series. 2nd down and 4 at the Miami 32. Thomas has the first down. Hugh Green made the stop. Thurman Thomas leading the NFL in total yards, better than 1,600. In only his 3rd season, he's emerged as one of the NFL's premier running backs.
One of the things about the hurry-up offense is it's great for the offense against the defense, but the other bad thing about it is we can't show you any replays.
It's a first down from the 26. Wright couldn't find anybody. The ball knocked out of his hands. And let's wait until they unravel. The Dolphins indicate that they have recovered. They have. Miami has recovered on the fumble by quarterback Frank Wright.
Now the left defensive end, look at Marv. You can see Marv Levy. He is really upset about this. Wright can start moving out of the pocket, just reaches in, and the ball is pulled out of his hand. Wright will come right at you here. Here he comes, and I think it's O'Shea, number 70. Watch this. He just pops the ball out. There's just no chance. Wright, when you start running, remember now, he hasn't played that much. You must have control of the football when you're running with it.
So Brian O'Shea with a key play early. It's been a season of suspension for steroid use and a season of injuries for O'Shea, who played well last week in the game against Seattle. Dan Marino of the Dolphins take over at the 23. That's Mark Clayton making his return today in motion. Marino puts it up on first down and able to complete right at the marker. Darryl Talley making the stop on Clayton. A couple of outstanding rookies on that offensive line. Richmond Webb, who has made it to the Pro Bowl along with Keith Sims. They have played very well, and it is a young offensive line. Tony Page makes his return. Sat out last week with an ankle injury. Clayton is back after sitting out 5 weeks. And in the passing situation, Crash Jensen comes on along with Troy Stratford and Tony Martin. They're calling it a 2nd and about a yard. And to the ground for Sammy Smith. He has the first down. Bruce Smith making the tackle. Sammy Smith has had his ups and downs recently. Problems with fumbles. That Bills front 7. Seals, Wright, and Smith. Up front, Bennett, Conlon, Bentley, and Talley. One of the stronger front 7s in the NFL. And when they go to the dime, Dwight Green and David Poole enter the alignment. That's the normal secondary and a good one. First down at the 34. Off the fumble by Wright. Miami has taken over. No score. 4 minutes gone by. Clayton in motion. And the penalty flag is thrown.
Richmond Webb was moving. Trying to get to Bruce Smith. I guess that's one good way to try to block him. Just go before he does. He knows Richmond Webb has his hands full. On top of the screen, you'll see him. He moves here because Bruce Smith is moving. Now, Bruce Smith would have been offside had Webb